All right, welcome back, everyone. Big shocker, laser video, I know. But this is, we had actually, while we were filming, we've had a couple parts come in. We had that mailbox part come in for repair, which we have a video on. We had this part come in while we were doing the mailbox part. So it just happened to work out for whatever reason. On Friday, we had a bunch of parts come in for me to work on. These parts in particular, it's a stainless steel panel with two brackets on it, but it's prime time laser stuff because we don't want any heat signature on the back side of the part. We don't want to have to passivate it. And it's thin gauge stainless, and especially being in a big panel like this, it's really easy to bow or oil can the panel. So this is a prime laser part. This is in the laser's wheelhouse. So I've done a couple of these in the past. The actual company that laser cut this sheet out, they basically mirrored the part. So they bent it up wrong. I didn't catch it. I welded the brackets to it, and yeah, so now this one's back for me to weld the brackets onto it bent up correctly. So anyway, with this part, I found a really good pulse profile that worked for the laser to help keep a lot of the heat out of this part. So we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to show, in production parts or production quality parts, kind of the quality you can get out of the laser, as well as really being able to highlight the pulse feature. So we'll go ahead and get the machine turned on. We'll get the screen turned on, and we'll use our recently built overhead camera mount to get a really nice clear shot of the display screen and what we're going to do with the settings. So let's get everything on, and then we'll jump over to the display. All right, so right now we're actually running our dual wire feeder. I've actually taken out the top drive roll liner, and I've replaced it with our regular single liner. The screen for the display is actually set up to run feeder A and B at the moment. So we have that A and B. We're just going to select feeder A only. So now we're only going to run this top drive roller with our normal single orange liner to the gun. So 50 centimeters a minute. I know that's the speed I want to be at anyway. So we're all good on the control panel there. We just had to switch to that feeder A, and now we're running a single drive roll out of our dual feeder. Let's go back over to the table. We'll show you the settings for the laser itself, and we'll get to start welding on these parts. All right, so now we've got the controller on, and we're gonna run through our basic setup for what we're gonna run on these parts. So on our technology tab, I've got this program set up on number 1. The 300 millimeter scan speed, that's how fast the laser scans back and forth. That's gonna be perfect for what we want. I've got my scan width set to 2.8 millimeters. We're running right at 065 stainless, so I'm going to have it set at 700 watts, 100% duty cycle, and then our pulse width modulation is going to be at 3000 hertz. So we're going to go ahead and import, save, and return that. Now, with these parts, like I said, I've ran some of these before, so I found a really good setting that works. And I've talked to a lot of customers about this pulse setting, but we haven't made a video about it. So I thought this would be a good time to take a second and show you guys how to set up the pulse profile on these single scan gun units. So we're actually going to go to the setting menu, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the passcode. So we've got 3 boxes we want to look at. Up here in the top right, where it says spot welding type, it'll go to interval, which is truly an on, and then it runs for the set time and goes off, and you have to reset the trigger. Or we have fish scale, so it turns on a repeater. So now, if we look in the center column, we've got our spot weld duration and we've got our spot weld interval. So right now it's set up for a ½ second on and a ½ second off of laser power. And that will repeat as long as we have the trigger pulled. From testing and doing some different test parts, I found a really good pulse that works for these. And so what I'm going to do is select the box. I'm going to put in 150, so that's 150 milliseconds duration, so that's on time. And then on my interval, I'm going to run a 25 millisecond interval. So I'm going to have 150 milliseconds of on, 25 of off, 150 on, 25 off, 150 on. So I'm going to save that now, return. Now, on the main screen, we have our welding mode. So now it's on continuity. That's a continuous power, just a straight tss. it doesn't stop. When we switch to spot welding mode, because in the settings page, our spot welding type is on fish scale, this now turns on the pulse and it's going to be on the repeater. So now when we go to weld, it'll go tss, 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 and that'll be our pulse. So I know these settings are what I want for this particular project. So we've got everything set. Let's go ahead and suit up. I've already got the part laid out. So we're basically ready to put these little tabs onto the big sheet, tack them, weld up both sides, and we're gonna play it in real time. So we're not gonna break. As soon as I put the part down on the plate and I tack it, we're not gonna cut until after I weld all four sides, so you guys can see how fast this process is. So I'll put the controller off to the side now that we're done with it. I'll suit up. We'll come right back to welding these. All right, we're suited up. We've got everything set up, ready to go. So yeah, like I said, as soon as I put the first piece down, I'm gonna tack everything, and from then on, we're just gonna run uncut until the part's done. So let's go ahead. I've got my hood on, gloves. Everybody, the camera guy's got he's behind a little protection, so we're safe to go. Let me double check my print. Slotted pieces on the right, solid ones on the left, and they go both like this. So let's go ahead and go. Whoops. All right, so there we go. That was it. See if you can get a really good shot on those, Chris. Yeah, there is welding. Well, pulsed power laser welding. I don't want to call it a pulse laser because that'll throw people in a fit, but yeah, using the pulse profile on the laser, we can use that for a couple things. Obviously, reduction of heat input, just like you would on TIG. So we can use the pulse to pull heat input out of the material. We can also use the pulse to fill gaps. So if we did have a bigger gap, up to about the width of our wire diameter. So like we're running 045 wire today. With that pulse, I can fill about a 45 thousandths gap, let's say in like 065 material or up. I can fill an 045 gap using the pulse. You have to play with it a little bit to get it super dialed to do that. But once you get that pulse profile dialed in with your wire speed, it makes filling gaps really pretty easy with the laser. So like I said, short video, just happened to have a part come in that I think would really highlight how well the laser pulse works, especially for heat, heat input reduction. So even on this back side, we have a little bit of coloration, but not much. That's something that honestly, I know with a piece of Scotch-Brite, we can just rub over that. We don't even hardly mess up the finish, but we'll remove that color. For something like this light, although we can passivate with the laser, something like this, to prevent having to refinish the whole piece, just taking a piece of Scotch-Brite and rubbing this will take that heat out. It's super minimal, so no big concern there. But again, for the speed, the consistency, and the quality of that weld, if you're doing parts like this and you're not using a laser, honestly, man, you're costing yourself time and money. It's almost brainless. So hope that was a real good demonstration for you guys on, some of the things you can use the laser for outside of welding coupons and making pretty welds. So they are good for production stuff, obviously. And I just wanted to showcase that as well as make a video about how to set up the pulse profile for the laser. So hope you guys find it, informative, and hopefully you can use this information on your projects. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining us.